Hey guys, it's Lexi, and welcome to episode 13 of the podcast. So today I'm going to share with you a really great finished object, some works in progress, and some exciting acquisitions. So let's jump in. So you may have noticed I am wearing my completed Olga sweater. This is a PetiteKnit pattern, and I just very recently completed it, and it finished blocking and drying and all that jazz. So I do have the pattern here in front of me, the printed version, so I'm just going to refer to it and give you some details. I knit up size small, which is a chest circumference of 114 centimeters or 45 inches. There are sizes extra small up to 5XL available. I did get gauge with this pattern, and with this yarn I used PetiteKnit in the color Blackberry Juice. So you guys will probably remember this was originally a travel project for me that I took on our honeymoon to Scotland and Ireland. And originally the Olga sweater does have stripes, but for the ease of travel, I decided not to manage yarn and I just knit it up in a solid color. Just tell you right off the top what I did modify about the pattern. So I always have to add length. You guys know I'm very tall. I did add a little bit of extra length to the body, but not the hem. So I didn't change anything about the ribbing at the bottom. And then I did add extra length to the sleeves. If you notice, I'll pop up some footage here from my Instagram, some wide shots of me wearing the sweater. These sleeves are incredibly long, and that was my fault. It's not that the pattern necessarily wants them to be this oversized, but what I ended up doing was adding 3 extra rows in between decreases. And then on top of that, I added an extra decrease round. So these sleeves ended up being very long, and honestly on one side I think I even knit a few extra rows. I just wasn't paying attention and decided I didn't feel like ripping it back. I don't mind that they're that long. I think this is a very oversized, comfy sweater. I kind of like the drama in the sleeve. I would say, you know, if I make this sweater again, which I kind of have plans to make it again in the stripe motif, I will be more mindful about how crazy I go with the length of the sleeves. But I think it's a really pretty sweater. I do love the color. I don't really have a lot of purple in my wardrobe, so I think this is very unique and kind of a nice choice for this sweater. But yeah, so overall, I'm really pleased with it, and I think it's a great color as we move through fall and head into winter. Another note about this sweater is, if you guys watch my previous podcast, I did mention that I had an issue with tension. You could kind of see a line of demarcation, especially along the body of the sweater, where it looks like my tension did switch up a little bit. And some of you guys really had some, solid points and thoughts about that. Oftentimes when you join in the round, your tension may change because you're not knitting flat anymore, you're knitting in the round, you're not knitting purls. So that was a good thought. The only thing was that the tension switch kind of happened maybe 2 inches after I had already joined in the round. I noticed that it was when I joined a new ball, but that also coincided with when I picked up the project back at home. So I finished a ball on the plane, I put the project down for a little bit, and then when I returned home, I picked it back up and joined a new skein. So I think really what it was just a difference in my tension, traveling versus being at home, and just being in a different state of mind, and perhaps, maybe knitting a little more tightly previously or afterwards. But regardless, I did notice that it completely blocked out. I don't see any issue anymore within the yarn or within the sweater, which is really nice because I was a little concerned. As I had said, this is a completely stockinette sweater. And so if you have major tension issues or something that's very obvious, you're going to see it. It's not going to be hidden in color work or texture. So I'm pleased with that, and I really do like working with PetiteKnit. Like I mentioned, this was the first time that I had knit up a garment at all in PetiteKnit, and I'm happy about that because you'll see that I'm using it for a whip. So I like the yarn, and it's very popular, so it stands to reason that it knit up beautifully in this sweater. One more thing that I noticed while I was blocking the sweater is that there may have been the slightest amount of bleed. It's kind of hard to tell because, the water gets a little cloudy with the fiber rinse that I add, but I think there may have been just the tiniest bit of bleed. So I will likely use a color catcher when I block this next knit because it is a color work project and I am using PetiteKnit. So that's something to be mindful of, especially when you're using darker colors like this. It's always a good idea to just be on the safe side and throw a color catcher in if it's something that's going to affect your project. In my case, it didn't really matter because it's a solid color garment, but it is something that I noticed. And I would say to be mindful of that if you choose to work with a darker color in Peergynt or multi-colors in Peergynt. And final thoughts about this sweater, I really love this collar. I had never knit a folded collar this way before, and I just think it looks so neat, and it's very pronounced and defined, and it lays very nicely. So I'm really happy with the construction of this sweater. It's definitely an oversized drop shoulder type of construction. But yeah, I think the collar is just a really nice detail. It's very crisp, and I'm very happy with the way that it worked. All right, so now let's start talking about some works in progress. I'm really excited to show you guys my progress on my 1992 Albertville Dale of Norway sweater. Here it is. What do you guys think? I think this is gorgeous. I really do. I'm gonna hold it this way because this is actually the way that it would be oriented on the body, but oh my gosh. I'm just thrilled. I hope you guys are getting a good view of this, but I absolutely love the way this is knitting up, and I'm thrilled with the colors that I chose. I just think they're so striking. I'm really glad that I did a swatch to kind of test out the colors near each other, because I think that really was a good indication of how they truly knit up. But you know, when you see it on this big scale, it really is different than a very small swatch that you're doing. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with this. For me, it's sort of my first foray into working color work two-handed. Normally, I would put down and pick up the strand that I needed. But you know, because this is such an involved project, I wanted to sort of teach myself to knit color work with both hands. So normally I'm an English style knitter. I think technically it's probably closest to flicking, but I'm not exactly sure what you would call it. So, you know, holding yarn continental in my left hand is different for me. But I am doing that, and I'm getting a groove with it. And I'm also being sure to pay attention to color dominance. So I'll be honest, I'm not exactly, you know, an expert when it comes to color dominance. I'm still understanding the concept myself, but the one thing that I do know is that the yarn you hold closest to you will appear more dominant in your work, or at least I believe that's how it works. So I am holding the black yarn, which is sort of the, you know, outline of the entire pattern. You can see here the black sort of outlines all of the color work. I am holding that in my left hand as the dominant color. So I'm considering everything else the background, including the cream, including, you know, the reds and the blues and the teal. And I think you can tell, I think you can tell that the black is the dominant color here. Hopefully you can. And I think that's the right choice. You know, there are moments where I feel like maybe my color work knitting is a little uneven in some of the brighter pops of color. Those stitches may be getting lost in the black because I'm choosing to hold the black dominant, but I think once I block it out, everything should kind of even out and settle into place. And please let me know if you guys have experience with this, or if you know, would have suggestions for me. Of course, at this point, I've knit this much holding the black dominant, but I'd still like to hear your thoughts on color dominance, especially with this type of project, and just to hear your opinions on how it's working up. Do you guys like the colors? Would you have done anything different? Be kind. But I'm very happy with it, and I just think it's so beautiful. And I'm excited to continue working on it. You know, I think actually the stitch count is pretty spot on. I'm happy with the overall width of the tube that I'm knitting. Which is good because, you know, at this point I've knit up half of the sweater. So I'm going to continue working on it, and I think at this point it's a good point to sort of start to think about the overall length of the sweater, because I'm coming up to my second repeat of this kind of, you know, single, I don't know what you guys would call this. It's the secondary motif in the sweater. I guess they're kind of like snowflakes. So I'm coming up to my second round of that. You guys can see. And at that point, I have to decide how many repeats of that to do, you know, to sort of determine the overall length of the sweater. So we'll see. I'm thinking, you know, maybe I'll need 3. I think it calls for 2, but, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. I have a party that I'm hoping to wear this to towards the end of December. I think it's like the 20th. So I'm really going to try to have it done by then. I'm not sure if I will, just because there's a lot of steeking involved and, you know, techniques that I'm just not familiar with. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to just whip this up and pull it together, but hey, who knows? I mean, if the color work is working up this quickly, then it's possible that, you know, if I really give it my all, I will have it ready, and I would love to wear it for the holidays. So yeah, really excited about this project, and I can't wait to keep you updated here. All right, so moving on to my next work in progress, which was supposed to be the December beanie, but it turns out it's actually the Oslo Hat. So the Oslo Hat is a pattern by PetiteKnit. I'll pop a picture up here for you guys to take a look at. And it just turned out that the gauge was better for this pattern. So I'll show you my progress. So I'm working this up from yarn that I purchased at the New England Fiber Festival last year. It's a really beautiful combination of merino nylon sock yarn and Surrey alpaca, so like a really gorgeous baby alpaca. Basically what happened was I was gauge swatching for the December beanie and I just could not get gauge. I think I did maybe 3 different swatches with different size needles. I even tried doubling the Surrey, which turned out to be a mistake because I don't know why I didn't realize I wouldn't have enough Surrey to knit the whole hat if I held it double. On top of which, it was a real nightmare to rip out the partial swatch that I knit up because the Surrey just kind of grabbed onto itself and the sock yarn. But regardless, I was able to determine that I could knit the Oslo Hat on gauge on a US 2.5 needle. So yeah, I'm excited about it. It's so soft, you guys. This is just going to be really beautiful. I'm coming up to the point now where I'm going to fold the brim and continue to work the body of the hat. But yeah, it's knitting up super quickly. It's very enjoyable and it's a very soft fiber. And I just think this color is gorgeous. And I honestly think it's going to go really nicely with my Dale of Norway sweater. I think it's going to be like a really beautiful accessory to wear with that project. So really no complaints. The pattern, again, it's PetiteKnit. She's really got it down. And I know that hat is extremely popular. I have wanted to knit it, so I'm not, you know, too disappointed that I didn't end up knitting the December beanie. Not to say that I won't knit that in the future, but I am excited to continue working on this project and hopefully have it finished pretty soon. All right, guys, I'm going to show you another technical work in progress. I guess technically it's not on the needles yet, but if you remember, I did put up a poll on my Instagram asking you which pattern you guys thought I should knit with my Donegal yarn that I purchased in Ireland. So here's the yarn for you guys to take a look at. It's a little dark in here today. Anyways, so that's the yarn. It's Studio Donegal, and I asked you guys if you thought I should knit the Saglan Sweater or, gosh, it's one of Anne Bensel's new designs, but it doesn't matter because I'm going with the Saglan. So this is by, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, I apologize. I will put a picture of the pattern as well as list the link below so you can check it out. But I think it's Ailbíona McLochlainn. Hopefully I said that right. It's a beautiful classic sweater. It's a combination between a saddle shoulder and a raglan construction. I have the pattern in front of me, so I'm just going to refer to it here, guys. So the designer made it to fit a variety of upper body shapes, whether you have narrow shoulders, wide shoulders, sloping shoulders, angular shoulders, or any combination thereof. So it sounds like this is a really versatile unisex pattern, and I'm very excited to get started on it. So I didn't actually swatch for this, but I know that they did use this yarn in one of the example knits that they knit up for the pattern. So I'm pretty confident that it's going to be fine, but I probably will, you know, do a quick gauge swatch just to make sure that I'm not too far off base here. And I forgot to mention, I wanted to thank one of you viewers actually who suggested this pattern and suggested this designer. I absolutely love her entire catalog of designs. So thank you so much for opening my eyes to this, because I was really not sure what I wanted to do with this yarn, and I just feel like this designer's creations and patterns fit beautifully with this type of yarn. So I encourage you all to go check her out. She's pretty well known. I just didn't know about her. I'm extremely excited to work on this sweater, and I think it's going to be perfect as we move through winter here. And it's nice that I'll get this on the needles because, you know, I purchased this fairly recently and it's a special memory from a very special trip, our honeymoon. So it'll be great. I'm excited to get it going. All right, and lastly, I want to talk about an exciting acquisition with you guys. So if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that my husband and I visited Islander Bags in Edinburgh and we completed a bag workshop course. We both had a really fun time with that and it kind of piqued my interest into bag making. So when Babylon Leather reached out to me to ask if I would like to try out one of their bag kits, it really piqued my interest. So I chose their coffee, natural vegetable tanned cowhide leather shoulder bag. Look at how beautiful this is. I am in love with the color. I just think it's so pretty. And I cannot believe that I made this. I stitched everything together, made all of the connections for the hardware. Babylon Leather made it so easy to DIY your own leather bag. They have really great video tutorials that make it simple and easy to follow along with their instructions. And I never felt like I wasn't supported. Like if I had any questions, they definitely answered things right away and were willing to help me along if I had any stopping points. I think the nicest thing about this is that I was able to complete this in just a few hours. It was really a small portion of the afternoon, which shocked me. I thought for sure I'd be working on this all day, but I really wasn't. And I don't have really advanced sewing skills either, so that's even more impressive. So thank you so much to Babylon Leather. I really did enjoy this experience and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a really unique gift to give this holiday season. In fact, they gave me a code to share with you all. It's Lexi10. I'm going to pop it up on the screen and I'm also going to list it down below along with a link to their website. So feel free to check out their entire catalog of DIY kits. And they actually are also running a Black Friday sale now through December 5th. And I believe that's a 30% discount, which is stackable with my code Lexi10. So you could potentially get 40% off one of these kits, which is really awesome. This is just really beautiful top grain cowhide leather. They use top grain and full grain cowhide leather, which is really nice to use such quality material. You can tell that it's sturdy, you can tell that it's gonna wear beautifully. But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to mention it to you guys because I know we're all makers here and we all enjoy working with our hands, and I just feel like this is such a unique opportunity to give a special gift either to someone else or even to yourself. So thanks again to Babylon Leather, and I hope you guys do check out their website and feel free to use my code and take advantage of that stacking discount. They have so many styles to choose from, small accessories all the way up to large bags and backpacks. I think it's definitely worth a look and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your interaction with my last couple of videos. I did 2 pattern roundups. The first was a holiday sweater pattern roundup and the second was a gift knit pattern roundup. I really enjoyed reading through your comments and hearing your thoughts about all of the designs that I chose. And as always, I truly appreciate it when you guys subscribe, like, comment, and hype. You can actually hype this video. There's a button down below on mobile. It really does help my channel when you guys engage with the videos. All of your interaction and comments continue to keep me motivated and continue to build our really special community here. I have to say, sometimes it's just nice to be able to lean on your making community. Coming up on the holidays, it can be filled with a lot of stress and a lot of things going on personally, professionally, and all that good jazz. So it is nice to be able to kind of share this space with you and geek out about what we love to do and what we love to make. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.